What's up, everybody? Welcome to another entertainment video, y'all. Thanks for stopping by. Anybody that's new, thanks for coming through. If you've been here before, appreciate the love. You already know what it is. Regardless, hit the like button, drop a comment, share, subscribe. Help me grow the Ant Farm, y'all. Give me a Christmas present. It's a little bit late, but just drop a comment, like, subscribe, do all that fun stuff. But today we're talking NFL. We're talking NBA. We got to talk about the Chicago Bears interviewing 15-plus head coaches. Yeah, you heard me correctly. We're interviewing 15-plus different people. We're also going to talk about the different wild card matchups. So I talked about the matchups already, but today I'm making picks. So we're going to do some NFL wild card picks. Also, some controversy coming out about Tom Brady, his role with the Las Vegas Raiders. He does have a 10% stake ownership in the team, and many people think right now that he's doing a lot more than he should be. They just fired their coach, so we're going to talk a little bit about that. And then lastly, some NBA, some Chicago Bulls. Trade deadline's less than a month away now. So will Zach Lavine be traded before the February trade deadline? He's been killing since New Year's, averaging, I think, over 30 points a game, balling out, might be just to get traded. But we're going to find out. We're going to talk about it. So let's just get right into it, man. So Chicago Bears, they're interviewing over 15 different people to fill their head coach position. And I just read this stat and it blew my mind. In our 105-year history, the team has only hired one coach that had previous head coaching experience, and that was John Fox. Yes, one time in 105 years, we hired someone that had previously done the job, and that actually makes a lot of sense why we're so bad as a franchise. It's insane that you think like, hey, we need someone that knows what they're doing, and they've only hired one person that's previously done the job. I can't imagine a company or anybody kind of operating that way, but of course it would be our team, our Chicago Bears, interviewing 15 different people. I got a list right here of some of the different candidates currently that they're looking at. So you could take a look here right now, and they're up to 15 plus. I don't think this is the full list. Anthony Weaver, Mike Kafka, Drew Petzing, Thomas Brown, Arthur Smith, Brian Flores, Mike McCarthy, Todd Monken, Ben Johnson, Aaron Glenn, Mike Vrabel, Joe Brady, Pete Carroll, Cleve Kingsbury, Matt Campbell, David Shaw. Anybody, your uncle, your cousin, you might see a name on this list that works with you because it looks like the Bears are just going to interview everybody. Post came out with a tweet the other day pretty much dropping that, hey, we're not going to leave any leaf unturned. We're going to look under every rock. We're going to take a look at every name. So don't just think of the names that are at the top of your head. They're going to be doing a deep dive, whatever the fuck that means, guys. We all know what that means. It means that we're going to end up with some guy on this list like, who do I not know out of everybody? Maybe Matt Campbell. That sounds like it's Dan Campbell's relative, so that'd probably be a good hire. But you know that's what the Bears always do. We end up hiring somebody that nobody's ever heard of, and based on some of this information, it's not looking too good for what we're going to be doing this year. And Ben Johnson, they are interviewing Ben Johnson this Saturday. Mike Vrabel already got interviewed. So that's the good news. The bad news is it's the Bears. Like, the Bears can probably see Michael Jordan walk right back into the building if they own the Bulls, and they would probably pass on him for Sam Bowie just because they're like, man, that guy had really good character. That guy answered a lot of really good questions. The Jordan guy, a little cocky, a little too confident. It's just that stupid mentality that the Chicago Bears have. They never seem to just want to go for the home run, go for it all, go for who they think. And I could live if Ben Johnson flops, if Mike Vrabel flops. I'm going to be pissed if we get another random offensive coordinator that flops, another random defensive coordinator nobody's ever heard of. And that would be probably the worst thing. If we don't even get anybody, like, let's say we get a defensive guy, it better be a Vrabel, it better be like a Brian Flores. If we get an offensive guy and it's not Ben Johnson, it's not who is Drew Petzing, which I think he might not be interviewing with us anymore. But, I don't want, like, they're talking about the New York Giants offensive coordinator. The New York Giants I think they're up there for the number one pick in the NFL. So what are we doing going to get a coordinator of a team that could barely score, they had to get rid of Daniel Jones. They tried it out like 3-4 different quarterbacks this season. They got rid of Saquon Barkley, and they were horrible. I mean, Malik Neighbors, outstanding, threw him the ball like 50 million times. He broke the Giants record, rookie record, I think, actually, in all the NFL for receptions in a season. But with a grain of salt, there's 17 games now. So we got to remember that when we're looking at all the future stats. But if we got to take a look at it, I would say my top three choices for the Bears to go after. Number one, you got to go Ben Johnson. Obviously, running a crazy offense right now in Detroit, has experience within the division. So I think he's definitely the pick we got to go after. Mike Vrabel, number two for me. I mean, previous head coach experience, had probably overperformed for what they had in Tennessee. Ryan Tannehill had some of his best years. It seemed like the Titans had a few upsets back then. I think they made it to like the AFC Championship, if you could believe that, with the roster they had. And things kind of fell apart for him when A.J. Brown got traded out of Tennessee. He wasn't happy with that. So Mike Vrabel, number 2. My third choice for the Bears, I know he's not an offensive guy. I think Brian Flores. He's currently the defensive coordinator for the Minnesota Vikings. He did previously coach the Miami Dolphins. People remember he kind of got into it with Tua. A lot of people think he didn't want Tua, and that kind of led to his downfall. Tua came out, I think it was maybe earlier this year, earlier in 2024, he came out talking about some of Brian Flores, how he was treated, what he was told. To me, it sounded like Brian Flores just like a hard-ass, hard-nosed coach. And Tua probably didn't like that. He wasn't playing too good. Maybe doesn't thrive in that type of environment. But I think Flores would be a perfect fit in Chicago. And I think if you can bring in an offensive coordinator with him, somebody that can lead the team, somebody that can set the organization, be the face of the organization, and then also bring an offensive coordinator. I don't want us to just jeopardize everything and like no matter what, we got to get an offensive coordinator because that kind of pigeonholes you, puts you in a spot where you're not going to end up with the best candidate. So let's go over it real quick. My top 3 choices to be the Bears, Chicago. No, my top 3 choices to be the Chicago Bears head coach. Number 1, Ben Johnson. Already said enough. Number 2, Mike Vrabel, man. NFL experience, NFL head coach experience, previous Super Bowl winner, knows what it's like to be a part of a winning organization. I got him at number 2. And then number 3, maybe a little bit surprising, Brian Flores. I think he's a perfect fit for the city of Chicago. He brings that grit that everybody likes. We've always relied on our defense. And I think if he could bring in a good offensive coordinator, he'll be a perfect pair and match up here in Chicago with the city, with Caleb Williams, with this team. But let me know what you guys think. Who's your top 3? Who do you think the Bears should go after? Is it Ben Johnson? Is it that simple? Are we going to mess it up? But just let me know what you guys think because I'm stuck. I'm scared, and I've been worrying about it all week, all season since we won 1 game in the last 2.5 months. So how could I not be freaking out? But Bears, baby, always got to bear down. So moving on now, and I actually, before I even move on, I can't believe that we've only hired 1 head coach with experience in our 105-year team history. Like, how is that even a real stat? How have we never hired someone that knows what they're doing? How does the front office know what they're doing? Then you remember, oh, wait, we've been owned by like damn near the same McCaskey family for at least all of my life, longer, going back into like the 50s or 40s. So it doesn't surprise me. And Georgia, I think that's her name, McCaskey. She just had like her 102nd or 105th birthday. So if you're wondering why the Bears have been so bad for so long, the main person that owns them is like 105 years old. So she probably has no idea what's going on. She probably hasn't even watched the NFL in 20 years. Who knows? So don't be too surprised when shit goes wrong because that's how the Bears operate. It's like a horribly run family business. But moving on, man, let's get into some NFL wild card weekend matchups. That felt like a little bit of a tongue twister. I was like, oh, wild card, blah, 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 but we going to get it out. So the wild card weekend, man, let's look at these matchups. I'm not going to go through them. I kind of broke them down a little bit more in my last video that I made a couple days ago. So if you want, go check that video out. Definitely check them all out. But let's look at the AFC first. So in the AFC, let's get a little zoom, zoomy zoom. Ooh, we're going too quick. There we go. So I'll scroll up so you could see the Chiefs with a bye. So Chiefs have the bye. First matchup of the weekend is going to be the Texans and Chargers. Texans won the AFC South. The Chargers finished second in the AFC West. So even though they have a better record than the Texans, they're going to be going out to Houston to visit. Houston was in the same game last year, first game on a Saturday. A little bit different circumstances. They were a surprising team last year. CJ Stroud had a crazy year. This year, they're in the AFC South. That's been pretty terrible, to be honest. Jaguars were horrible this year. The Colts were very underwhelming this year. And the Tennessee Titans also just a horribly down year. So Texans kind of won the division by default. They got a good roster, but a lot of things kind of didn't go their way this year. Chargers, Jim Harbaugh got brought in. Justin Herbert having kind of like not a resurgence, but different type of season. They're winning more. Maybe his stats are a little bit down. Team ball, a lot different. They're relying on the defense, relying on running. Chargers, Texans, match up 2 young quarterbacks. Herbert, I think the only quarterback in his class without a playoff win, unless Tua hasn't won, because Tua got one. Joe Burrow won one. Jalen Hurts won one. So Hurts, Burrow, both been to the Super Bowl. So Herbert, you got to step it up, bro. But for the Texans and Chargers, y'all, I got to go with the Chargers. Jim Harbaugh Clearly, that dude makes a difference. I'm still pissed that the Bears didn't even bring him in for an interview, let alone hire him. We should have hired him. But I'm going to go with the Chargers over the Texans. Upset as far as the seeding wise, but I think the Chargers just have a little bit tougher of a team, a little bit more hard-nosed, that type of squad that's going to go out there. They're not afraid to go on the road. They could definitely, their style of play fits into that. The second AFC matchup, man, we got the Ravens versus Steelers. Absolute classic NFL rivalry. This is one of those games that I've loved watching in the regular season, no matter who's on either team. They always play hard. Both teams are historically very good, no matter who is on their roster either. They kind of seem to win with everybody. But Ravens coming off a great year so far. They added Derrick Henry. Lamar Jackson's stats are absolutely bonkers. The bad part for them is Zay Flowers was ruled out for the game, so he's not going to be playing. The Steelers, they're kind of backing their way into the playoffs. They weren't playing too hot to end the season. Russell Wilson looked a lot better in the beginning of the year, or not beginning of the year, because he actually didn't come in until like the 6th, 7th game of the year. But Steelers, they're always going to play hard. They got a really good defense, but the defense kind of seems like they've kind of slacked a little bit to end the year. But you know, these division matchups in the playoffs, it's kind of always a toss-up. But if I had to pick someone, I got to go with the Ravens. I know the Steelers kind of own Lamar throughout his career, but I think Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry, it's finally their time. And Derrick Henry kind of unlocks Lamar. He makes Lamar even more of a cheat code, because now when they're doing little option plays, when Lamar's passing, there's just more of a threat with Derrick Henry there versus J.K. Dobbins, who was hurt all the time, Gus Edwards, who was hurt on the time. They're both actually on the Chargers. But also Hill, who's still on their team. You know, they've gone through a variety of different running backs, but none of them can touch Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry's just in his own field. But that's also going to be on Saturday, and that's a Prime game. So that's going to be on Amazon Prime. So you got to make sure you check out Prime Saturday night. So far I got Chargers. I got the Ravens beating the Steelers. Then the matchup kicking off on Saturday, the Bills and the Broncos. Bills, somewhat of a surprising team this year after they lost a ton of different players. Josh Allen, currently the odds favorite to win the MVP this year. I definitely think that's a little bit more narrative-driven versus Lamar as being a lot more stat-driven. Broncos, rookie quarterback, second-year head coach with the team, Sean Payton. Obviously, he's won a Super Bowl before when he was when he coached the New Orleans Saints. The Broncos defense they got the clamps on them. So 3 AFC West teams, Broncos, Chargers, Chiefs. So obviously, you know, these teams are really good if they're still in here. If the 2 other teams from their division made it. Bills, I think Josh Allen, James Cook, he's finally got a running game. They are missing a receiver, so I'm a little bit nervous about this game, but I got to go with the Buffalo Bills. This is the one game that I think might be an upset. I talked about it in my video earlier this week too, but after some pondering, after some thinking about it, I got to go with the Buffalo Bills. So NFC now, let's shift over or scroll down. Got to use a little bar here. All right, in the NFC, we got the Detroit Lions. They're on a bye week, so we don't got to pick anything. I'm picking Detroit to win the bye. In the second matchup, we got the Rams and Vikings. So this game was actually set to be played in LA, but as a lot of you guys know, there's some crazy wildfires going on right now in Southern California. Everybody that's out there, stay safe. My boy Diaz, if you're catching this, stay safe, bro. I already texted you. I know you're okay, hopefully. But everybody out there, stay safe, man. And a lot of prayers out to Southern California. It's sad to see a lot of things get destroyed, regardless of if a lot of them are like rich people or stuff like that. I don't care. It just sucks to see people's lives go down like that. But because of the fires, this game's now going to be played in Arizona. So somewhat of a neutral site, but I also feel like LA is like a neutral site. There's not a lot of home base fans that are LA Rams fans. This team, if you remember, they came from St. Louis. They've probably moved around a couple times around the country. But it looks like to me the LA Rams, that stadium's just a lot of like corporate tickets, corporate suites, and a bunch of celebrities coming out to watch. So I don't think it makes a big difference as far as home field. What I do think is like Sam Darnold, it's his first playoff game. He probably would have been a lot more nervous playing in LA versus on this like neutral site. But I think that's kind of the X factor. Obviously, they got Justin Jefferson. They have Aaron Jones. The Vikings offense is solid. Defense ran by Brian Flores, who I want to coach the Bears, or my third option. But I think Sam Darnold is kind of the X factor in a bad way. If you watched the game last week against Detroit, it was like a semi type of playoff game because whoever won got to get the bye, so they went all out. And he kind of just came up empty. He had a couple throws that he just straight up missed, whether it was to Jordan Addison, Justin Jefferson, a couple plays that, you know, if they go the other way, the Vikings could have been the number 1 seed. And they haven't even extended Darnold or anything like that. So we don't really know what's going to happen there. But I think the Rams upset the Vikings. It's not an upset in terms of seeding, but they did have the Vikings had a better record than LA. I think Sean McVay, Matt Stafford, I think they come out and they got a little bit something cooked up for the Vikings. And I think that the defense as well, they'll have something cooked up for Sam Darnold. So I'm going with the Rams over the Vikings. Matchup number 2, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They just snuck into the playoffs last week. They had a big win. The Atlanta Falcons lost. So they squeeze in as the NFC South. I had a blink there. NFC South champs. The Washington Commanders led by rookie Jaden Daniels. He's currently got them in the playoffs as a wild card out of the AFC East. Definitely a surprise team for everybody. But he's been balling out, man. Jaden Daniels, got to give him props. Probably going to get Rookie of the Year. He's been an absolute monster. He had Cleve Kingsbury, who the Bears are going to interview, who we actually interviewed last year for head coach, and we passed on him, and now they're interviewing him again, which is crazy. But Buccaneers, Commanders, Baker Mayfield's got them in the playoffs again. Mike Evans just tied Jerry Rice for the most consecutive seasons with 1,000 yards receiving with 10, which is absolutely crazy. So you got to assume they're going to come out. They're probably not favored a lot. I think, actually, I didn't even look if they're favored. Oh, yeah, they're favored by 3, and that's probably just because that Jaden's a rookie. Because I'm going with the upset, guys. For the Buccaneers and Commanders, I'm going with the Commanders. I think Washington's playing with absolutely nothing to lose. They're kind of there riding in. It's a rookie season. Nobody expected this. Anything they get from here on is just kind of plus. It's just kind of some icing on top of the cake. So I'm going with the Washington Commanders. In the last matchup here, it was not technically the last matchup. It's the last matchup on, because the Rams-Vikings is Monday. Last matchup, or the other matchup on Sunday. I'm over here just rambling. But the Eagles versus the Packers, y'all. This is going to be a really good game. These teams played each other in Brazil earlier this year, and that was a really good game. Jalen Hurts right now, he hasn't played the last couple of weeks for the Eagles, so that's definitely got to be concerning. Kenny Pickett came in for him as their backup. He ended up getting hurt. They were on their third-string quarterback. So you got to imagine right now if Jalen Hurts goes down, they're looking at probably going with their third-string quarterback in a playoff game. That's going to be extremely tough. The Packers, same thing. Jordan Love got injured last week against the Chicago Bears. They say everything's fine, but that's what they always say in the NFL. You know how it goes. You know those Eagles players are going to be looking to get a hold of Jordan Love, take him down, hopefully hurt him. The same thing for the Packers. Not hurt him, but get him a little more hurt. Packers, same thing. You know they're going to be trying to get into Jalen Hurts. And things just change in the playoffs, man. Like the Eagles have looked really good all year, but that was with us pretty much healthy Jalen Hurts. And you know right now these teams are scheming, doing everything they can to try to get an advantage over the other. And I just had made a whole video too about the Packers and how I don't like them. So you know I got to go with the Philadelphia Eagles, y'all. I thought about picking the Packers because I'm like, man, I know that I feel like the Eagles are vulnerable right now. Jalen Hurts has been injured all year. They've kind of they flailed a little bit last year when they got wiped out. They didn't make it to the playoffs at all, which happens usually after you lose a Super Bowl, which they did 2 years ago. But it just seems like, they're kind of caught slipping, and this is where the Packers generally do good. This version of the Packers, at least, it seems like they win when people least expect it. Jordan Love, definitely not Brett Favre or Aaron Rodgers yet, but he has some of that Brett Favre in him where he'll just kind of make some throws where you're like, brother, what are you doing? Which as a Bears fan, I like that. But as a picking a team, can't really rock with it. But I got to go with the Eagles over the Packers. So let's do a quick breakdown just to summarize these picks for you guys. All right, so my NFL wild card weekend picks in the AFC, Texans versus Chargers. I'm going with the Chargers. Oh, I just got stumbled up there. Yeah, so get me back into it. So my NFL wild card weekend picks in the AFC, Texans versus Chargers. I got to go with the Chargers. In the Ravens versus Steelers, I'm going with the Ravens and Lamar Jackson. I think they're on a mission this year. Him and Derrick Henry, that tandem can't be stopped. Bills versus Broncos. I do think the Bills are on upset alert, but I got to go with the Buffalo Bills here. So in the AFC, I got the Chargers, Ravens, and the Bills winning this weekend's matchups. In the NFC, Rams versus Vikings. I got to go with the Rams. I know they're playing in Arizona now, but I think Matt Stafford, Sean McVay got a little something cooked up for Minnesota. The Bucs and Commanders, I'm going with the upset. Washington Commanders over the Tampa Bay Bucs. They barely snuck into the playoffs. I think Washington has nothing to lose. They'll come out, be able to beat the Tampa Bay Bucs. And then the Eagles versus the Packers. Two quarterbacks that have been somewhat injured, dealing with some lingering injuries. Jordan Love, Jalen Hurts. I do think the Eagles have what it takes. They'll come out and beat the Green Bay Packers, but I think it's going to be a pretty close game. So in the AFC, I'm going with the Chargers over the Texans, the Ravens over the Steelers, the Bills over the Broncos, the Rams over the Vikings, Commanders over the Bucs, and the Philadelphia Eagles over the Green Bay Packers. So let me know what you guys think. Who do you guys have in these matchups? I think they're all going to be pretty good games, but we'll see how it goes. Let me know what you guys think. Drop a comment. Who do you guys have winning this weekend? So let's move on, though. Chargers, Ravens. We got the Chargers, the Ravens, the Bills, the Rams, Commanders, and Eagles. I feel like we're in the Wizard of Oz. Lions, Tigers, and Bears. Oh, no. Lions, Tigers, and Bears. Oh, no. That's kind of funny, too. There's no Tigers in the NFL, Russ. That'd be kind of fire. It'd be like Lions, Tigers, and Bears. We got the Lions and Bears in the AFC. You could be like Lions, Vikings, and Bears. Oh, no. Lions, Vikings, and Bears. Oh, no. It's like the NFC version. All right, let's get back. I just realized I'm in a little small window. Ooh, got to sit up, too. Been sitting all day, y'all. I work here, too. I got my little, I work from home, so I got a little yada going. I'm like, man, sitting too much. I got to get the bands going. All right, y'all. So we've gone through some Bears coaching interviews, who they're interviewing. Is it too many people? NFL wildcard picks. I want to talk about this real quick, too. This story came out. Tom Brady's role with this is from Yahoo's, but it's all over the place. Tom Brady's role with the Raiders is fueling speculation that he will leave Fox this offseason. I was listening to the Dan Le Batard show online, and they had David Sampson talking about it, pretty much saying how, Tom Brady right now, let me see if I can click the tweet real quick. Here we go. We're locked in. So right here, you could see he's talking about it. This is what they're saying about the NFL. Let me move me over. I'm in the middle. So Tom Brady's running that team, and the NFL knows it. Fox knows it, and something has to give. So enjoy Tom in the booth because you're not going to see him there next year. And that's David Sampson on Tom Brady's involvement in the Raiders front office right now. He calls it an insult to broadcasters and an insult to general managers. He's basically saying Tom Brady right now is running the Las Vegas Raiders, whether it's a general manager level, president of operations, whatever he's doing. And I mentioned it, I think, earlier, but Tom Brady does have a 10% ownership stake in the Las Vegas Raiders. So that's actually very weird that you think that they're letting someone that owns a team also be someone that's broadcasting, commentating on these games right now. And just a couple of days ago, Tom Brady literally said the Raiders need somebody like Belichick, somebody with Belichick's experience. Obviously, right now, Belichick is with the North Carolina Tar Heels. He's coaching college. If you don't know that, a little bit crazy. So he's not really an option they could bring in. But there is something pretty crazy that talks about next year, after 1 year, if Bill Belichick leaves, it's pretty much like he's got a window to get out. So you could see something where he goes to North Carolina, maybe does his thing. Who knows what the Raiders are going to do? I didn't expect them to fire Antonio Pierce, and it doesn't really add up with the timeline if they're going to do that. But when they say that the Raiders need somebody with Belichick's type of experience, I guess not experience, he said expertise. Yeah, I'm like, I can't read. So what that points to me, Tom Brady's saying they need somebody like Belichick. I think that means you got to look out for Mike Vrabel, y'all. Mike Vrabel, former Patriot, runs things like New England, probably follows a lot of the same type of sentiment behind what they're doing with their goals for the season, how they operate the team. So I think you got to watch out for that, because especially for the Bears, obviously Ben Johnson right now is on a playoff run. The Lions don't even play this weekend, so we don't really know, unless things go really, really well this Saturday when they interview him, how fast we're looking to hire someone. I think I was listening to some Barstool Chicago the other day. Shout out Barstool Chicago. They had some different numbers there on some of the information like that. And why did I just totally go blank right now? I've completely just had a brain fart, y'all. But going on talking about a little bit of the different coaches out there that we need. But I somehow just lost my train of thought like that. I don't even know how that happens. So back to it, though. Tom Brady running the Las Vegas Raiders. So they pretty much speculating that he's the one right now that's trying to find the next head coach. So I wonder, does that mean he had some type of influence in the firing of Antonio Pierce? It is a little bit worrisome because it's kind of weird. I'm pretty sure he's broadcasting the game this weekend. He broadcasted the Bucs game last weekend. And he's a really good analyst, good broadcaster, but obviously that's a little bit conflict of interest if you're trying to run a team while you're talking about other teams. He gets to talk to players. They get to talk to coaches before. So you're kind of seeing like what they're trying to do, what the scheme is. So that's definitely what's worrisome if you're an NFL team, if you're a franchise out there, like, yo, you guys are giving this dude the juice, the insight to go to every player before every game. They learn about the other team. They learn about the scouting reports. And then he's also gets to go back and kind of talk to his own team, his own ownership. So it's very interesting to see what's going out there. I don't think he's necessarily running the team, but I guarantee you they're listening to his advice. Good. Because was it Mark Davis now, son of Al Davis, who's like one of the most popular owners of all time, is running the team now. And, you know, he's like a Nepo baby, somebody that he already just got the team given to him. So he's probably like, yo, man, we bring in Tom Brady. Tom Brady went to Tampa Bay and they won. He can probably bring him to Las Vegas. He's not playing, though. That's what these people don't forget is like, yeah, Tom Brady helped bring players in, but he was the one throwing them the ball. He was the one in the locker room with them. It's not going to be the same if he's like up in the press box. He might have some influence, but I don't think it'll be the same type of deal. But let me know what you guys think about that whole Tom Brady Raiders thing. It sounds messy to me. All righty. And then to wrap up the video today, guys, we got to talk about Zach Lavine. And I guess it's not really a bold prediction, or it's not really a crazy question. Will Zach Lavine be traded before the NBA trade deadline? That's on February 6th. Right now, he's averaging 32.8 points per game, 4.8 rebounds, 5.5 assists, 58% field goal, and 42% from three since the new year. So since January 1st, this dude has been absolutely going crazy. And you take a look at some of his stats here. These are the last 4 games. He's been balling, y'all. 31 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists. Then he got 35, 10, and 8, 32, 7, and 4, 32, 3, and 2. And yeah, I don't even know why they put the 32, 3, and 2. Just put the 32. But these are some of the best games he's had in a while, especially in a Chicago Bulls uniform. And I think he's now moved up to like 6th all time. I'm not going to go look for the tweet right now, but he's moved up to 6th all time in like Chicago Bulls scoring history, which is very sad for the Bulls. I mean, Lavine's not a horrible player, but he's not the type of player I want like in our top 10 of anything. But he's been going crazy, and a lot, you got to know, or you got to think about it. Is he doing it just because he wants to get traded? And to me, that's what makes the most sense. The biggest thing on Lavine is always that he doesn't play defense. He's never been a part of a winning team. He doesn't really influence winning. And I agree, because if you look at, I just went over those stats, right? So these last games, 32 points, 4 rebounds, 5 assists a game, 58% from the field, 42% from three, and we're still just 2-2 as a team. So even though he's going crazy, he's looking good in the stat sheet, he's kind of proving the point that when he does play well, it still doesn't really influence winning. It doesn't really influence your team getting to another place besides just being an average NBA team. So you know that he wants to probably move. He's probably trying to get traded somewhere. I'm sure he's tired of being under Billy Donovan. I'm sure he's tired of being in Chicago. I'm tired of being a Chicago Bulls fan. So imagine playing for the team when you're making a lot of money, but he can't be what they want him to be. So let's get rid of him. Start over. I think he has way more value than Nikola Vucevic does. Who knows where he'll end up, but my take is Zach Lavine will be traded before the NBA trade deadline. There's no other reason. He's been playing this good, playing this hard. I cannot see him doing all that if he knew he was going to stay in Chicago. Who knows what Clutch is cooking up behind the scenes. I'm sure they're working to get him somewhere, whether it is the Lakers or maybe just another team. But I do think Zach Lavine will be traded before the February 6th deadline. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know who you think is going to get traded to, because that's a whole nother story too, is, yeah, he wants to get traded. Yeah, we want to trade him. Yeah, he's playing good enough to get traded. But who actually wants to take him? Where does he fit? Where does the money add up? And I hear all the Bradley Beal talk, us getting involved in that trade for Jimmy Butler. I want no parts of it. I do not want Bradley Beal in a Chicago Bulls uniform. We've already been mid enough forever. We're like the most mid franchise in NBA history, besides like the 90s when we made a run. Besides that, we're ass. So do not bring me Bradley Beal. I think Lavine will be gone, though. But let me know what you guys think. Lavine's been killing it, but I still think he's got to go, man. We just lost yesterday to the Pacers. Like, it's a typical Bulls type of stuff where we win a couple games. You're like, all right, like this team, like, looks like they know what they're doing. Then they don't. And it just happens again. Like, we're 17-20. We're 16 games back in the division because the Cleveland Cavaliers are absolute dogging. But again, guys, we're 10th. We're in the play-in tournament. Like this will be the third year in a row we're going to lose in the play-in tournament because we're not going to win. That's something I can tell you. And it's crazy too because, Indiana's been playing horrible. They're now ahead of us. Miami, Jimmy Butler wants to leave. They're still over 500. Detroit, young team ahead of us. Atlanta, but the Bulls, we're just in no man's land. It sucks. It really does. But I think Lavine will be gone. Let me know what you guys think, and I'll start coming up with some ideas. I talked about it before in some other videos because this guy's going to get almost traded like every season. So we'll see what happens, y'all. Thanks for coming through, checking out another entertainment video. If you made it all the way to the end right now, you're the best. Drop a comment. Let me know you made it to the end. We'll give you some free entertainment swag once we get it cooked up. But thanks for coming through, y'all. Drop a comment, hit like, subscribe, share. If you're in Chicago, stay warm. If you're in LA, please leave because it's looking dangerous out there, man. It's looking crazy. But go Bears, go Bulls. We got NFL wildcard football in a couple of days. The college football playoffs are on right now. I think Notre Dame's losing to Penn State. But thanks for coming through, y'all. I appreciate the support. Stay up. Deuces.